Coaches know it well. They call it the close, and it's supposed to happen toward the end of a strategy call. It's the point where you ask your prospect if they're ready to invest in your non-tangible intellectual property, your smarts, your wisdom, and ideas. And for many, it's also the part of the call that takes people down. Yep, so much rejection in just that very moment, like clockwork for so many. It takes a real toll on someone's confidence when they know what's coming. The close and another rejection. Attention all you coaches and consultants who are tired of losing ideal clients on sales calls. Do you get on a call and man, it's going so well. You're delivering so much value. The call is going great. And then you get to the close. And now what? One, you could keep delivering more value. Except now you're just talking faster because you know you're toward the end of the call and you're trying to cram enough value into their ears to get a yes. Two, do you start preaching about how different you are? And instead, we all risk coming off as really needy. Or three, do you overwhelm them, explaining all the ways your wisdom is about to change their life? I get it. It can be tough asking people for money, and especially if you're selling intangible things like your advice. It's really easy for your leads to get confused, and when you've worked so hard to get that call scheduled, the rejection starts to really drain your confidence. Maybe to the point where you're even afraid to fill your calendar anymore because you know you're just going to get to the end of another call and hear another no, or let me talk to my spouse more, and then get ghosted. Well, if you get what I'm talking about here, then I might be able to help. At this moment, I'm looking for just 3 coaches, consultants, or trainers who know they give solid wisdom to their clients, but they totally botch it when it comes to communicating just how great of an investment they'd be. I'm looking to help them put in place a psychological closing principle that I discovered by accident, but it's helped a few of the experts I work with land new clients of their own in less than 24 hours. In fact, it's been so effective that one of my clients, who wasn't even looking for new contracts, had 3 conversations and closed 3 deals, totaling $29,500. Now, I'm not making promises on the revenue, but maybe you're looking to get some reliable consistency like that. So if I train you personally to pull off the new story close approach, if I showed you exactly how others used it to land a couple new clients in less than 18 hours, and if I made you a one-of-a-kind problem solver who has no more competitors, so you could close more sales, getting leads to instantly understand your value, trust you, and sign up to be your client, would you take me up on that offer? This is a one-on-one kind of thing here, and given the level of attention this takes, I can't take on more than 3 additional clients with this at any given time. Now, before I share more about this new way and how others have used it, here's just a quick bit about me. My name is Drew Hudgens. I started a brand called The Hudge Factor, and I've helped various coaches, trainers, and people who sell intangible services nail their very own custom story close, where they're not only closing more sales, but they're getting their prospects excited to sign on and work with them. Armando is one example. He's a Silicon Valley business veteran with tons of incredible wisdom, and he's used his own story close to generate over $100,000 in revenue for a coaching practice that he does on the side. He runs 3 other family businesses and serves in his local chamber, and was still able to book 2 new clients the very next day once nailing down his story close. Dwayne's another expert. He wasn't even trying to build more business, but he had wrestled through his own story close approach, and we landed on something so incredibly powerful. It was powerful because it was ultra simple, and that's what made it so effective. He racked up 3 back-to-back success stories. First, he was one of 10 in the running for a project, and he won that. Then his own mentor bought into his story close, and he paid him to collaborate on something. That was his mastermind mentor. And finally, he landed his first ever $25,000 contract. That's what I can't promise to everybody, but he did it. Check it out though. Here's his voice message from that.
Just got the final announcement. 25K! The listen funnel just made me a 25K project. Seriously, thank you, bro. You gave me the tools to leverage to the next level. Yee!
3 conversations, 3 sales, $29,500 later, and now Dwayne has woven his story close approach into every part of his business, even his podcast. Now, if you have a track record of helping your clients and you're sick of seeing others who are making a killing, many of whom don't care nearly about their clients like you do, come on, let's say it, and a few more just outright charlatans who are all sizzle and never deliver, then listen up because this might be just what you're needing to hear. This innovative new story close approach is a conversational competition killer. And it's helped our clients easily land new clients of their own in as little as about 18 hours. Now, in other words, when they got this locked in, they went out and got clients the very next day. Now, we all know that strategy calls are the most effective way to build trust and sell your services. And we all know that if you ever have any aspirations to sell a high-ticket program, you're going to need phone calls to do it. But the problem is they can be very hard to convert. They require lots of patience and practice too. And it can be really tough to get traffic to book a call. And if you're running paid ads, they can get expensive fast. And when you finally do talk one-on-one, depending on how your day is going, your emotions can get the best of you, completely hijacking the discussion. Then comes the rejection. Many feel like they just got trained and they're ready to go coach, and now what? They think they have to go learn how to be a sales pro. It's not like anyone in a lot of these courses and coaching programs ever guaranteed your calls would sell your service anyway. They leave that to you to figure out on your own, or point you to read a bunch of sales books or take another course from a friend with an affiliate link, which still doesn't focus on what's unique to you anyway. But there's a gap in that conversation you're having, an agreement gap. And it's the window where that person you can help decides if you have what they need to take them where they want to go. This little known story close approach is a shortcut to bridging that agreement gap. No books to read like 10x it bruh, the go crush it way. No years of professional plateau while copying off of everyone else's template or method. And I'm not promising you're never going to get rejected again, of course not. But no more feeling like a failure when you do. This is the fastest method I've ever discovered to help consultants or coaches to deliver an instant epiphany and get clients to sign up. Having a solid story close of your own is like laying the foundation of a personal brand that you can leverage to do everything in your business. Create and publish content that's solid, thought leader level, not shallow copycat stuff that really teaches an audience just to ignore you because they can get the same stuff everywhere else. The right story close keeps clients staying on track with their fulfillment, to consistently stay within scope of expectations, making everyone happy. It's no wonder placing the perfect story close approach on the front end of a working relationship. It sets expectations, it excites new clients, and it builds a memorable reputation. An overview is always helpful, so let me share why this new story close approach works so well. But hold on, first, can I just confess to you that I think I'm going to strangle a kitten if I hear the word mindset one more time? So many programs, so many mindsets transformed. Okay. You see, a solid, unstoppable mindset comes after this. It comes after dialing in something that's unique to you and simple to communicate. Because when people start winning with their very own story close, seriously, how hard do you think it is to get a strong mindset? See, so many people are waiting for someone else to validate or encourage them to get past their mindset. Do people not pump thousands into these programs all about mindset for years and years? What if most of these people didn't need therapy and pet talks? What if they just needed to win at something that they knew was their own? What if they knew they held a key that others sincerely wanted to hold? So, here's where we begin. Step 1, I hope you pull out the real problems that your best clients are dealing with. Now, this isn't easy, and that's why so many people skip it, or they just assume they know it, and then they move forward with a really sloppy foundation. So you've got to know and align your best client's big problem with your own gifts, talents, and unique experiences. Well, step 2, then I help you craft your promise and what you're going to clearly deliver, and more importantly, not deliver. The more stuff you add to your story close, the more you just complicate your promise. Most of the time, bonuses and extras end up complicating the deal and confusing the buyer. And a confused mind doesn't invest. So enough of that. You've got to keep your story close simple if you want it to be effective. Step 3, I hope you boil everything down into your own proprietary method of success. You do have a method, and this is what you can start using immediately to sign people up in an easy, natural conversation. Step 4, the Instant Epiphany tool. You probably already knew that the foundation for Facebook's success was visuals. Why? Because the brain loves images. It makes sense of images in a fraction of time instead of letters and words. You don't ever have to rely on explanation alone to spell out the value you'd bring, because this tool gives story closers an advantage. It visually shows whatever gaps of confusion that often block a yes and fills them right in with some, I call it clarity concrete. It's kind of like you pulled out a client treasure map, and it shows both the prize and the steps to find it. It's called the storytelling document, and it has been a total game changer, leading conversations that end with, okay, well, let's do this. How do I pay? Does that sound like something that can finally help you close more sales? If you're taking your clients through a process and you feel like it's not really your own map, and you know deep down that your prospects can smell it too, then click the link and learn more about the story close approach that coaches are using to easily close more sales and give prospects something they can finally put their trust into. Something that gives them instant hope that you have the wisdom they've been looking for. You can put an end to those panic attacks from thinking you need to publish a book and guest appear on 30 podcasts, and you certainly don't need awards either. But there are people out there right now that are in dire need of specifically the help that only you can deliver. The way most experts are teaching this, it's just that they don't teach it. And wouldn't it make perfect sense to have figured out what you can even promise and make it something you enjoy doing? Doesn't it make sense to get that squared away before people buy all these memberships and courses? Because when you get into those high-ticket programs, I can speak from experience on this. What do they expect? They expect you to have this kind of foundation for your business already figured out before you shell out thousands for their programs. But if you invest in their program, it's funny. They never refund you and say, you weren't quite ready for this. Go find out what makes you different and valuable. Of course they don't. They don't tell you that. You have to figure it out the hard way. Now, there are a lot of wrong ways to go about this. Finding not only what makes you different, but what makes you not boring and how to avoid promising the same thing as everyone else. But there's a very optimal way to figure this out too that I discovered about 3 years ago. Now, you already heard a little bit about Armando. He got his story closed down. He picked up 2 clients the next day, later selling a $25,000 package with it, and then a $36,000 package with it. I've never done that. This guy's amazing. And it was a total shock for me to hear him tell me that he doesn't even think about it anymore, that his own story close just rolls right off his lips so naturally that he just picks up clients. All he claimed to do was just explain very naturally how he could help them tackle their problems. They were completely clear on his promises, and his leads signed up. I would not want you to look at me when I was first figuring this out. It goes back to when I had shelled out $1,000 to get in this online mastermind program, and I was like Armando. I had a story, kind of like a story. I was a total imposter though, but I had a story. See, my story close, it wasn't proven at all. Let's call a spade a spade. It was a total ripoff of the guru that I just paid money to get into his program, I was telling you. Now, I didn't realize it at the time, but this was a huge epidemic where people providing services and guidance really have a hard time not sounding exactly the same. In fact, and this was embarrassing, a hot prospect totally called me out on it. He was also in that same mastermind group I was telling you about. I even showed him this special recipe so he could hire me. And he says, well, isn't this just the same thing as I would say marketer's thing? And I stammered and I said, well, I mean, there might be some similarities and sure, some things might overlap a little. But whatever. It didn't matter. He could smell it. He had me. I was cornered. The story that I was trying to get him to let me take him through, I massaged it some, but it was still basically a ripoff of what someone else was promising. So it didn't matter if he went through me or not. He could just find someone else for basically the same thing. I was a commodity at that point. So then what? Well, I got out my wallet, of course, and I enrolled in another program. Now this one, it was going to be it. Oh yeah, this is going to be my ticket to success. I mean, why wouldn't it be? Because it is 6 times the cost of the first one. Of course I'm gonna rocket this, baby. And then there came this day. One of the coaches in this new mastermind was giving me his attention, and I'm talking about all 14 minutes of it that I had with him on a group Zoom call. There comes this moment in the session when he's reviewing my homework. Now he got to my story close, the one that I had at the time, and he asks, "What's this? Where'd you get this?" I said, I made that. And he said, "Okay, this is brilliant." And then he proceeded to give me terrible advice. Now, it wasn't his fault. His advice was terrible. It was mine. It was mine because he was telling me how to move forward based on this imposter method that I was showing off. And come on, it didn't matter. It was the same one that got me in trouble the first time. It wasn't unique. It wasn't my own. As long as I was using that story, I was a counterfeit. So after shelling out over $25,000 the past few years for about a dozen programs, here's a harsh reality I've learned. Every program I've taken already expects you to have this dialed in. And certified coaches and consultants know this all too well. You're coached to stick to the script, to literally go out there and sound like someone else. But no one is truly helping people one-on-one, digging through the hard stuff to pull what's effective about the way they do things to the surface. No one, at least not that I've found. Now, these programs should say, hey, this is on you. And many, they just can't promise to give this to people. There's no way. Not with their model. They take on too many. You're just a number. Like me, you might be so lucky as to bask in their golden advice for about 15 minutes on a group Q&A call, right? That's not the deep help coaches need to figure themselves out. So ever since Armando, the first story closer, I started documenting how I did this for him and others. This new model is all about turning your wisdom into big-time simple story steps. It's engineered to put your prospects' problems right in line with the fixes that only you have. And you will be the only person they'll have ever met who got them to understand it so quickly and easily, yet so deeply. And that's great for you. It's all based on the proprietary method of success. I call this the PMS. And you can spot others doing this too. Now, you might be familiar with a company known as Apple. It's a $2 trillion company. Well, every single time they release a new product, you can bet they'll put out an energetic and clever ad, but that's not all. They've put their top design engineer in front of the camera talking about the behind-the-scenes brilliance that went into that new product. In one of the videos, that top Apple product designer says, "For every finished product you see, tools had to be designed, process had to be created." When Apple covers both telling and showing their own proprietary method, an incredible thing happens. People instantly get it, and they go out and stand in line to buy it. You can even see this in the beer industry. Years ago, Schlitz beer took on the same practice I'm talking about. They were doing okay with sales, but they wanted to ramp it up. And how did they make the move from number 5 to go neck and neck with the top seller? They simply told their story. It was about the purest water. They talked about the care in selecting the grains. They took their audience through the filtering process. And a beer expert probably wouldn't think there's too much special about it. But it didn't matter because the masses of people could now get it. Everyone became a believer in Schlitz. Schlitz gained that trust and that instant epiphany in the same way your proprietary method of success does when you lay it right into your story close approach. Apple, Schlitz, all they did was shed light on their own proven story behind the promise they were making, and it makes believers even advocates. When you do that, people have something to put their trust into. It makes the intangible tangible. Now, for someone who's wanting to close more calls and sign up more clients, what can they expect from this process? Okay, step 1, crack the AC. Not crank the AC. We crack the audience code. The AC, when all your competitors are busy binge watching Tony Robbins documentaries and tapping and going through their affirmation and psyching up their mindset, you're going to be coming up with your own evergreen, trademarkable method based off of real problems. So enough of all this inward self-actualization. That doesn't stop you from getting rejected. That's not helping you build real confidence. Okay, you know what does build real confidence? Packaging and selling your intellectual property to your future advocate. That'll do your mindset some good. Next, we take the audience code that we've cracked and compare it to you and anything you've ever done. This is the part like kissing, because everyone thinks they're really great at it. But here's the reality. You are completely undervaluing something about yourself so simple that it's painful. Now, how do I know? Because there hasn't been a single person that's worked with me who's been able to see some skill or experience or even failure that I've been able to pull out of them. I didn't say it was easy to see. Others might say that. Me, we just can't lock onto the first thing that sounds nice. I want to dig, I want to learn more because your success rides on it. But once I point out this hidden gem of theirs, oh yeah, then it's obvious. That's why this method works so well. It's easy to embrace something that's already yours. There's no need to reinvent a new wheel for yourself. It's not about some personal pep rally like, you go girl, do it girl. That's nonsense. A lot of coaches feed their clients that BS and inflate their ego. Like a stuck in the past has-been junior high all-star. Then they learn the hard lesson in their next strategy call when they get rejected again. Now, let me be clear. I'm not promising that you're never going to get rejected again. Of course you will. But at least when it happens after you're a story closer, it's based on something you can improve and fix. The go crush it, bruh approach is all about conjuring up some confidence based on nothing. There's nothing to improve. Maybe some tactics other than tactics. And do you think either one of you is going to have a good experience when they agree to something based on a tactic? How fun is that going to be working with them? When you run into rejection with the story close approach, you can always be confident that 1, it just wasn't a good match. It's a pre-qualifier. Or 2, there is something that you can reasonably put your finger on that needs a little work. Imagine that in your business, that you can stop focusing on all the broad stuff like a website or writing a book or a course and just hone in on your story close. Once it's refined, everything else in your professional life just got easier. Surprise, you now have a personal brand that doesn't feel fake. And when it doesn't feel fake, it comes off easily to you because you never have to sell something that's just a natural part of you. You have the foundation for every piece of content you produce and every single product you sell. Your trademarkable story close is the starting point to every blog post, your first book, every YouTube video you make, your first course, your next 10 courses or books, to structure your TED Talk. It's even the foundation for your own future certification program if you decide to ever expand your team. And when that day comes, we can help you build the systems online to sell those things to people who have never heard of you. Our job is much easier then because both you and I have a very intimate understanding of what you promise. It's like a house that's built on sand, and then a crew comes in, props up the house with those huge lifts, and pours a concrete slab for a foundation. You no longer need to buy every training about how to build a social media audience as big as the Kardashian. You don't have to sweat about not being a great writer. Ask yourself, how much time should I spend saying any kind of message, making any kind of content, if it's not going to be thought leader worthy? 0 seconds. That is the correct answer. If you just publish the same thing as your mentors and trainers told you, so what? How different is that? Why not just go watch Zig or Oprah themselves? But if you want to say something, if you want to preach a message that's based on something that is truly yours, and you want the sincere confidence that comes through your presentation when you finally have a story close method of your very own, then my team and I can help you build that too. But not yet. That doesn't come first. First things first, lots of people think becoming a content machine is first, and they go out there and they try to start a huge brand, and most crash and burn out. I still work through that with a few new clients. I remind them, hey, don't worry about competing with her or falling behind that guy who's got 1 million likes already. That's not our mission today. You have a story close. If you want to start things right and get off the ground with a rock-solid foundation, it starts here. Dwayne started from scratch, trying to grow his agency. His problem? He does things really detailed. How's that a problem? Well, for his clients, it's not. They're lucky to find him. But for him and trying to get prospects to see what they'd get if they hired him, it was a challenge. Dwayne and I went back and forth. He was on his way to a winning story close, but it was always too heady. Something you'd expect to hear from like an engineer, which makes sense because that's basically what he is. He solves really complicated problems. But there came a day where I said, Dwayne, trash everything you've ever done before this day. This story close approach is the most incredible and simplest thing I've ever heard. It was time to test it. Conversation number 1, landed it. Not only a $2,500 deal for him, but he beat out 9 others in the running. All right, that's cool. Conversation 2, then he shared his story close with his mastermind, and his mastermind mentor hired him. Conversation number 3, then he talked to yet another lead, 3 conversations, 3 new clients, and this third client landed a $25,000 deal. Remember the voice message toward the beginning? Here it is if you didn't see it or it got skipped.
25K! A 25K project. Seriously, thank you, bro.
There you have it. Now, I can't promise everyone is going to nail 3 conversations and make $30,000 in sales. All I can tell you is that if you're at all like Dwayne and your problem solving isn't just child's play, that it takes some experience from someone like yourself, then once you dial in and lock onto your story close approach, your conversations should be leading to similar outcomes. So to quickly recap, here's exactly how we help our partners quickly close more calls. Step 1, I help you see problems that aren't so obvious that your prospects are dealing with hardcore, and I line those right up with the talents and unique experiences that only you have. Step 2, I then help you craft your promise and what you're going to clearly deliver to fix for them, and maybe more importantly, not to fix for them. Step 3, I boil everything down into your own proprietary method of success that you can start using immediately in an easy, natural conversation, along with a one-page visual that clears up any gaps and starts getting your prospects to trust you and pay you to get your help. Does that sound like something that can help you close more sales? Here's the offer one last time. I'm looking for just 3 consultants, coaches, or service providers who know they're losing out on their best prospects because they can't seem to reliably communicate what they really need to during their calls and appointments, so they can immediately start using their story close to stay calm and natural when getting to the selling part of their calls, making them come off as a confident, proprietary problem solver with no competitors, and closing more clients who get it and get excited to work with them. Maybe that's you. If so, start filling out the application on this page and let's figure out the best option for you to move forward.